Hey, storytellers, storytelling around here. 2026. I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite things: a Christian RPG. I've been working on this for like a couple years now, and what does it mean to be a Christian RPG? You play just like D&D or OSRs, anything else, but you add in evangelism, being a missionary, and church planning, and that is the most epic adventure of all, because you're going into a village, there's evil going on, whatever. You can create some sort of pagan evil, Cthulhu-y, whatever. But it's earth-based, and the reason I keep it earth-based is because of the Bible. We want to sort of keep the relationship of man and history. But you can go a little crazy with it. You can go Hellboy, you can go Weizen, you can go Cthulhu, you can go, if you want, because I get it. You can do like pagan fantasy too. You can do earth-based fantasy. I guess not orcs, but goblins and elves and giants and dwarves in that sort of grim depiction of it. But I keep, anything sort of fantastical like that would be demonic, or evil, even minions, and you can certainly go that route. But I would say talk to your, how are you going to GM that in that way? But I keep it more human based, and then when I want to go gonzo, I go to my apocalyptic and my Christians in Space, where there's genetic mutations and modifications. So you can have you can have space orcs at that point, and killer robots, and Tyranids and Zergs or whatever, and space bugs and all that kind of stuff. So, and zombies. In the Dark Ages, I tend to try to make it more like demonic, possessed, feral, cannibal. Cosplay. They dress up as goblins or trolls. They can have, a human, a vicious human is to me more frightening than an orc. A raging, rabid, feral bear or prehistoric type of creature is more frightening to me than ancient red dragon or ancient black dragon or whatever. And in my game, the characters don't get like 80 or 100 hit points. They hover at 16, 20 maybe. And there's a big chance for criticals much easier, because people, when you get wounded, you get wounded. And by the way, I do medieval armor combat, so I carefully constructed the combat to match my experience in that. But, and this is real steel. That's real steel back there. I'm kind of semi-retired in right now. I'm just kind of chilling about it. I don't really want to go out there and sweat and rough it up every weekend. I just feel older and more calm and comfortable, like at home now, and gardening and stuff, and being with the wife. I'm kind of, Anyway, I really have worked though on this game system to make it feel real, dangerous, grim, but fun. Very OSR, very you got to like manage your wounds and hits and stuff, and it's fun. It's fun. So this is the Dark Ages. It's on Amazon. It's like $30. I get about $4 out of it per sale. So and I'm not making any money, but that's okay. Apostles of YEAAGGHHH is the same game system, but with apocalyptic stuff in it. And then there's Christians in Space. And here's the thing. I'm going to show this great article, and it's Providence or whatever, but I was today going to do a video about how we are addicted to D&D and Forgotten Realms and Star Wars and Marvel and all these things. We're addicted because that's what we do in our daily whatever. That's our addiction, is whatever we feed ourselves. Porn. If you constantly feed yourself porn, your brain rewires it. Your brain gets rewired to be addicted to porn, and you gotta get free yourself from that. But and I don't have that anymore, and so when I see porn or when I see naked stuff, I thank the Holy Spirit, thank Jesus. But I'm not addicted to that stuff anymore. I still feel the lust, that thing, but point being is that if you're constantly playing D&D, you're going to constantly be addicted to it. And it's going to be constantly feeding you. And whenever someone like me comes along and says, hey, try this out, you're like, no. And I just want you to be aware of that before you baby steps away from it. And it was kind of a transition for me. And I'm free. Like, I don't care about D&D anymore. And I like D&D. I miss it, but I don't miss it because I love this. This is like, I can't. Me and I got a couple of buddies now. We're dedicated. We play on YouTube. We just want to play this now. And all three of us are hardcore D&D people from whatever in the past, and have in and out of some other players as well. But logistics and stuff is tough for everybody. And I only have a few people because I'm trying to convince you all that you don't have to be addicted to all these other role-playing games. You can be addicted to the Lord, and it's fun. And we are having so much fun adventures. We're doing apocalypse, post-apocalyptic with crazy gonzo stuff. Lots of action, shooting, rocket launchers, mutants, zombies, fighting, and evangelism. And the evangelism is such an intense, fun role-playing thing. And we only really do that every, I don't know, 5th or 6th session, because there's so much adventure and exploration and discovery and investigation, and then fighting, and then trying to calm people down and trying to save them. But you end up fighting and killing people, people that maybe could have been saved. But I want them and us and you and me to make mistakes as missionaries in the game, because that's who we are in real life anyway. And I always say this over and over, that it doesn't matter if you or I succeed at whatever it is we do as a Christian. It doesn't matter if our church succeeds or fails, right? It doesn't matter, because God's got this. Jesus has got this. That's the faith that we have. But we want to serve the Lord. We want to serve him in some way. And I say this over and over, but I feel like when Jesus gave us the Great Commission, I feel like he said it like this. I'm just being a little silly here, but I feel like he said, he already knew, but I feel like he said, like, okay, if you're going to do something, do this. I don't need you, but if you're going to do something, fine, do this. I think he's just giving us we want to serve him. And I don't want my serving the Lord to be sacred. I want it to be human and fallible, and I want to keep trying. I don't want it to be so sacred that I don't even try. Like, right? I'm so perfect. I'm just going to go to church and not do anything because I'm so perfect as a Christian. I'm just going to tell other Christians how lame they are. I just, I want to go out and make mistakes. And this game has taught me that, because before this game, I didn't believe in missionary or evangelism. Or I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable. I don't want to be a missionary. I don't want to go to the church and do all these things. But this game has rewired my brain. I'm thinking now about church all the time, and it's weird. It's like it's the same way I used to think about D&D, about Forgotten Realms or whatever, about Star Wars, about Marvel. What I used to get excited about there, I get excited about church now, which is really weird. And I'm not like that. That's not who I was, right? That's not. I was into I went deep dive into Star Wars. I have all the Star Wars RPGs, all of it. I mean, if you look on my channel in the past, I did a whole series campaign. I made tons of artwork for it, tokens and everything. I made a massive 30 different maps or whatever of locations and stuff. Same with D&D. I have a ton of D&D tokens I drew myself. Really good illustrations, or not good, but decent. And they're on my website. You can find them. I kind of hid them away in there, but they're on the website. I'm going to take the website down at some point soon, just to kind of like stop spending so much money on stuff and go more social media and Substack and all that. Just simplify my life. The website is a chore and it's expensive, and I don't really do much with it. So I don't get excited about it anymore because everything I try to do on there is a new cost. I'm like, in order to get more emails, I have to pay more, and they cut down my free emails by half. That was the final, forget it. Anyway, so or my emails that are included in what I'm already paying, they cut it by half. That was ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gonna go over this article. It's timely, so that's cool. Let's see here. Where am I? I forget how this works. Maybe this one. Okay, so let me pull this article. Oh, I closed it. Okay, let me pause and get this set up. Okay, in this article that just came out yesterday, the devotion economy, how fans build works they don't own. So they apparently redid Star Wars RPG in the Starfield game, the woke Starfield game. They revamped 250 gigabytes of total conversion from 300 mods in the community. Just rewrote the whole thing to make it Star Wars. I mean, that's dedication, right? And it works great. And it's free or something. A couple of clicks to install, blah, blah, blah. So my point being is that when they obsess over this because it's all they have. It's all they or we have is we obsess over things. And I get it. I still, like tonight, I'm still wanting to watch Star Wars, Book of Boba Fett, and Mandalorian, because I want a sci-fi adventure, and I don't have any Christian sci-fi adventures to watch. So I still watch those to feed my brain. But I obviously I translate it to this: may the Lord be with you, Christians in Space. And Christians in Space is like Star Wars, but it's even, I think, better. It makes more sense the way I have it set up. There are planets. There's an atheist empire, and that atheist empire is terraforming, and it is doing genetic modifications to create these alien human beings. So all life comes from Earth, but the atheist regime, the empire, is crazy, and they've created super AIs that go out and do this. And so there's killer Terminators, there's Necrons, there's whatever you want. You can go sort of crazy because they're propagating out, right, and terraforming all of these the appropriate planets. And there's big terraforming factories on every planet, and all the aliens come from Sharkmen, Dogmen, Squidmen, whatever you want. They all come from genetic modifications of life that God created. Right. So, and this is like 2500 AD. No, 2500 AD. Yeah. And I only do hundreds of years. I don't do thousands, because I'm trying to also teach you guys that 100 years is a long time. A lot can change. Think about 100 years. It's 2025 right now. Think about 1925. They were barely had cars, little rickety Model T Fords or whatever driving around. And now we got AI and all that. So, and it's accelerating. So I'm trying to teach also that we don't need 10,000 years for something to happen. We need 100, 200 years for dramatic change. So this is the obsession that we all have. The strange case of conformity gate. We all, so they made this whole Star Wars game. People might say we're less religious now, but the point here is that they are very religious. Their brain is rewired for Star Wars, for games. They're spending all this time for something that doesn't give them anything. It's just entertainment. But then what? It's fluff. It's mist in the air. It's nothing because they. And I've done this. I've modded like Minecraft. I used to do all kinds of crazy stuff back in the day. I used to do this X-Wing, the TIE Fighter. I used to mod that and make my own campaigns in that. I was obsessed with all that too at one time, back in the day. But now I just want to mod games for Christ, and it's not nerd. It's not. I know in the past I used to cringe at Christian stuff. I used to cringe at it. Woo. But I'm telling you, this is wicked, grim, dark, epic, fun, Dark Ages. This is actual artist. I paid to do this. I am using AI art, not in these ones, but I am in some new settings I'm doing. I'm using AR. I need a ton. I love a ton of digital arts, and I'm going to show you. And I drew every. This is a paid artist, but inside is all my own drawings. I did all the characters and everything in these books. They're all kind of cartoon doodly versions, but I'm going to move on to using AI art because it's just more polished and more fun to use. It's hard. It's still hard work. I'm still like pulling out my hair working with these things. Anyway, and I'm paying for it. So the strange case of conformity. So Stranger Things, everyone's obsessed over that. When it's over now, they're still obsessed over it. I am obsessed over church history and epic stuff. Right now I'm reading adventures of church people like the Templars. I'm reading Crusades. I'm reading St. John, the Hospitallers. I'm reading the African Squadron, the Royal Navy. I'm excited about. They're so exciting. And I was on vacation this weekend, or the Florida Keys over the New Year, and I was reading about pirates. Oh, where's this book? I gotta do this. Oh my gosh. Let me go to full screen real quick. Where's full screen? This book right here, man. This book right here. So I got this suggestion from the pirate board guy, and because I kind of want piratey stuff and whatever, and I even kickstarted that, but not interested in playing it, even though it is pretty fun and he's got really great artwork and all that. And the guy seems pretty nice, but he doesn't want to talk about Christianity. I don't think he's Christian, so he kind of in the pirate board he kind of puts that aside. But he has some Christian characters in there, but he makes them very weak and innocuous, which is not the case. He suggested this book, and I was so joyful reading this book, and harrowing. It's brutal. There's some brutal depictions of what they did to men and women and young girls. Yeah, it was rough. Towards the end, especially, and some of them got away with it too. But it also has the gospel in it. The guy put in the journalist. He's a famous guy, Daniel Defoe. He did Robinson Crusoe. There's an actual few pages there of a judge telling the gospel to a pirate, and it's pretty amazing. And it's like, whoa, this is intense. And there's so many parts in here where pirates are sorry for what they've done, hope Jesus Christ will forgive them. Hardcore Christian stuff in here. So I'm amazed that that guy, the pirate board guy, doesn't mention any of that. I was hoping it would affect him, but it doesn't. I don't know, but it's a pretty intense book. Very intense depictions. Very hard to read because it's old English. So that was fun. But I was reading the Florida Keys, and that was even better. But when it brought up the whole gospel and Christianity, there's a lot in there too about God and Christianity, as far as like their evil, the pirate evils, and them knowing that they should have been better, but being caught up in their sin and murder and pirating. Pretty amazing. Anyway, that was a great book, and another one I read. So I'm so excited about, there's so much adventure and history with Christianity. I get really excited now about reading that. I tried reading Conan the Barbarian, Conan again. I tried reading it. I read Solomon Kane and I love Solomon Kane because every now and then he brings up God, so I get excited. But when I was reading Conan the Barbarian, all the epic fighting and stuff, and I was just like, just silly. It just reads silly to me now. The whole toughness, macho, and I love Conan the Barbarian or whatever. I get that same addiction feeling from that. But reading it, I just got bored. Even it was a big epic fighting, epic King Conan type of story I was reading. I'm like, and I read a few of them, and I'm like, and I've read them before, but I'm trying to reread. But I read them, and I'm like, I should be so excited and gung ho and testosterone right now, but I'm not, because there's no Christ in this. It's just fantasy fluff, that. I mean, at least in Solomon Kane, there's a sort of I like it because it's like I said, biblical based, earth based, and I can use it then as an influence in stories, because Solomon Kane has some pretty cool prehistoric creatures in it that he deals with. So that's a really good setting to use in my game. The perfect setting for this. If Solomon Kane is open license, now I might even create a setting or encourage one of you to do it and let me know, and I will help you with that. I'm more than happy. I do want this to be an open license, however that works. So if you guys come up with a setting and you want to use my rules and put them in your book, and I'm fine with that. Just give me a credit. That's all. Hey, this is where I got the game rules from, and we're using this game, and the rules are pretty much complete. I've got 2 fixes that are add-ons to it. That are, one's really major and one's minor. One's just a convenience, the faith points thing, just a little extra convenient thing. And then the major one, which is kind of, not even needed, but we all like it now, is just a little extra more damage based on how high you roll in your results. So when you hit something, it's not just a matter of hitting it. If you roll really high, you get little extra damage in there. That's it. That's the only 2 things I really needed to add to the game, and since I published these, and those are kind of minor things that you can just add whenever you want. I might put them in the books and on Amazon, but I haven't done it. And it's only 2 things. They're pretty minor. I plan on putting them in the next 2 settings I'm working on right now, and those rules, and just put them at the front so you all know, and that's it. And the rest, and the rules are pretty much the same. Although the one with the ship I do have new rules in them, but they're based on the setting, not on, and they just correlate back to the other ones. Anyway, so let's go back to this one. So the devotion paradox, I like that. Fans build worlds they don't own. They repair stories they didn't break. They elevate works whose creators have moved on. They pour in thousands of hours with nothing to gain. That's for sure, but you have everything to gain with this. Because it has given me the mindset now to love church and go to church. I go to church now. I used to go to late Pastor John MacArthur's Grace Community Church here in LA, about 30, 40 minutes away. And then I've decided, though, because of my game, I went to a missionary conference at Grace Church, or connected to Grace Church. And the biggest thing I learned there was that you need to be at church with your ministry. You can't go off and do your own ministry as a Christian. You can't go off and do your own thing. You have to be at church. And I was like, huh. Because I knew I had this and I was doing it all on my own. And then the Lord, the Holy Spirit put guilt in me. But I was like, I got it. I think that's right. That's right what they're saying. Because it's gang warfare out there. It's gang warfare. We're in gang warfare, and you got to be a part of a gang. You can't just be on your own. It's stupid. That's fiction, like Conan or whatever. You got to be a part of a gang, and I'm part of a gang now, part of a church, and the best gang of all, the one where it is a bastion of hope, compassion, chivalry, liberty for everyone in this society. Churches are. The reason there's white supremacy is because the only place the church survived was in the land of the white people in Europe. The church was wiped out in Africa and wiped out in the Middle East. And that's why there's white supremacy, because not because we're supreme, white people are supreme. It's because the church is there and taught them and civilized them. And they went out, then created these incredible civilizations that went out and started colonizing and spreading the word, the gospel. And because of that, and because I'm playing this way with other players, and they're praying and they're talking about Christ and they're doing evangelism and then having fun adventures or whatever, I want to go back to church now and have adventures. I'm having adventures at church now. I'm having fellowship at church very easily now because I know what I want to do. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is becoming a deacon, which is in about a month. Because I went to this church not knowing anybody. Let me get the full screen here. I went there not knowing anyone. Oh, no, I'm not trying to cover up Jesus, but I went there not knowing anyone to do this. I told him, I don't know you, but I go to this church, which is connected to your church. Actually, he comes from that church. But I would like to start a local game in your church. And he was like, oh, he doesn't know me. I'm a stranger. All right off the street. Right? I could be crazy because we get crazy homeless people there all the time. But in this, and with him, I have grown throughout a year now, or whatever, 8 months. I don't know how long it's been. I gotta check. And I have just been joyful and patiently not being able to do what I want, which is do this. I want to do this. And he has limited me. And I have joyfully, patiently accepted those limits because I got to become a member. I got to become trusted. I got to become part of the church, to do this, because this is crazy. This is teaching evangelism or whatever. Now, obviously, you can go off and play this game on your own, but at some point, you got to be part of a church, be a member, whatever, be involved. And so I'm going to become a deacon next month. And when I do, bam, I'm starting this game. I don't care. I'll sit there all by myself and hopefully someone will show up, whatever. Now, I can only do it during the day because I can't have a key yet, but I don't care. I'm going to sit there, and I'm already doing stuff at the church, but I'm doing other people's things, which is fine. I did smash burgers, which is pretty awesome. And they want me to do that again, but I'm just joyful. And so when I become a deacon, I can set up a game now and run it on my own in the church during office hours or whatever, during the day, because I don't have a key yet. I have to wait for that for further trust or whatever. And I'm patient. I'm happy with the process. I'm joyful that I'm helping this church. I went street evangelism for the first time, several times now, ever. And the reason I did is because of this. Is because when we play, me and the dudes here on YouTube, we're rewiring our brains. My brain is rewired now for church, and I get that little heroin opiate now when I think of church, when I think of this, when I think of church, when I think of when I look at this, and I have other books too, I get that little thing that we all get with when we think of Star Wars or Marvel or all that, and those are you pour thousands of hours in it with nothing to gain. Well, have fun. I have fun, but I now have a growth. On top of that, I have a mission and a church planning and a fellowship and Jesus. I don't have to be LGBTQ friendly. I don't have to be friendly. I don't have to give up my faith and my gospel and my commission to have fun anymore. I have fun through Christ and church, and it's addictive. And I get the opiates. I get that heroin opiate snap in there now, looking at this stuff. Man, I actually want to do a video more playing and stuff. We were supposed to play a game today. I was so excited to start up a game, but some of the other guys made it. Didn't know we were gonna play today because the new year. So I'm like, ugh, but I'm winning. Okay, so this here about the Stranger Things. You will accept the canon ending. You will acknowledge that Will Byers is a homosexual. You will submit to your progressive cultural programming. That's everything. Star Wars, Marvel, they're going to make you accept the character's homosexuality, lesbianism, and you're going to accept the progressive cultural programming in order for you to get your opiate fun. That right there in the back, right? It's right there in the back core of the brain. You get that little opiate joy, right? Whenever we do something that we're addicted to, porn, Marvel, same thing, D&D. You got to rewire that, but it's baby steps. Get going on this. Buy my book. Make me super rich. I'm already fine, but anyway, make me show off to my daughters and wife. Hey, look at me! I made $50 this month. All right. So I'm just the devotion paradox. I like this guy's little article here about this all. It's very timely for me, Sam Gray. Okay, so that's that. Let me go to. I want to show you my books real quick. So these are my books. They're each about 115 pages or so. The rules are only. Here's the game dice. Explain the game dice. So let me get the full screen here. Let's do this one, I guess. Explain the game dice there. Determining the difficulty, the die rank results. I'm just going to run through real quick. Combat, pain and suffering. Combat reference. A little extra. Oh, the denouement's really cool. Using a horse. You can actually use a horse. Life saves and conditions like death saves and then conditions. Penalty dice. How you use that. Little more die rank results thing. And then this is like information on trade and how you could use that. Our extra little rules here. Then how to use the faith and blessings. They're kind of like spells, but Christians, we use blessings. More blessings. And then making a character. And the characters are very, and I broke it down like into the different character classes, but these are my like suggested. You can kind of mix and match if you want, but I don't really limit you, but this is sort of the starting point for your character. And just to help explain to each person what they want to start as. And there's the different classes, and that's it. And then here's the character sheet. And that's the main rules. So that's it. 30 page, less than like 15 pages of rules. The rest is like, this is the gear. And then this is the GM part. This is a fully fleshed game. I've been DMing and GMing for 45 years. Okay, 47 years now. And I'm 57. And this game is complete. Like, this is all you need. It covers everything that they blah, blah, blah. I'm going to explain the die ranks here in a minute, but this is the character sheet right here. You have your 6 traits. This is like ability scores, but I made them to be more accurate. Let me get some more coffee and I'll explain the character sheet when I get back. I got to get some more coffee. Okay, more coffee. That's funny. I've been GMing for 45 years. I've been GMing for 45 years. And I've been saying that now for 2 years. Oh, wait a minute. 47 years I've been GMing. Okay. So this is the character sheet. These are this. So it's D20 plus your trait plus your skill points, right? That's same. It's the same as D&D, same as OSR, same thing. The defense, which is the armor class, is what you got to hit. I also have an armor save, which comes in very handy to reduce the damage, and there's vitality, which is the hit points, and that's it. I mean, and here's the burdens. You can carry 2 heavies, 3 mediums, and 4 lights. Now beyond that, you get penalties to your rolls, which the GM handles, not the player. So the player always just rolls their normal, and if ever they get penalties, because there's a whole bunch, you can get a whole bunch of penalties from different reasons, curses, burden, wounds. Any of those kind of things, or smoke or whatever, the GM applies on his side. So when I say, oh, you need to climb that wall, and it's a 12, but then they got these penalties, they don't put it on their roll. You add it to the 12. Like, I'll take the penalties and roll whatever it is, and they can see my roll, and then I'll add that to the 12, so that they can climb the wall. For instance, a simple one is the guys in plate mail. That's a D12 armor save. That's the highest, D12. And so he rolls a D12 and can reduce damage, but I'll roll that and add it to the 12 for climbing the wall. So it could be literally a 24 to climb the wall because he's in plate mail. But the guy or none next to him with no armor just has to beat the 12. So that's how that works. Whenever they get penalty dice, and now he could have a wound too. Blah blah blah. And I'll explain that in a minute. The die ranks, but that's the way I do difficulties and stuff. Which is, I guess, difficulties is what is that in DC difficulty class? Yeah, in D&D. But that's the game. That's it. That's damage is the same. D6 sword and D10, D12, whatever, same thing. In my game, for going up levels, you can actually raise those things almost every die number in your character. You can raise the to hit dice or number, and you can raise the damage. So if a sword is a D6, you can raise it to a D8 because you're actually getting better at what you're doing. And it costs glory points. So when you get glory points, you can spend it on these things. If you see at the bottom here, let me zoom in on this. This is the die ranks. D4, 1 is D4, 2 is D6, 3 is D8. So if your damage of a sword is a D6 and you want to raise it to a D8, it costs 3 glory points to do it. And you usually get 2 to 3 glory points a game session, if you're successful, whatever. So 4 is a D10, and then every 5th die rank is a D12. So if you got 15 die ranks in something as a bonus, with all the whatever you add everything together, you get 15 die ranks, blessing, skill, laboratory, inspired die, whatever, and you got 15, you would get to roll 3 D12s, right? 3 D12s. That's how die ranks work. And the reason I do it that way is it diffuses that bonus number of 15. Think about 15 in D&D. 15 in D&D means you're going to just always hit, always engineer up, always succeed, always powerful, blah, blah, blah. But in my game, instead of it being a solid 15 number, plus 8 from your skills, plus 4 from your powerful sword, plus 2 from the blessing or whatever, the character becomes too powerful too quickly. And in my game, I switch it from a constant number to this dice pool. So if you have 15 die ranks in something, it becomes 3d12s, and you roll and you pick the highest. So it diffuses the number. So that number could be, from a 1 to a 12, and obviously with 3d12s, the number, the average is going to go from a 6 for 1d12, and 2d12, a 6 would probably go to a 7 or 8, and then 3d12s would probably go from 8 to 9. So on the average, you'll get a 9, in there. Kind of a thing, but you can still get a 1. You can still get, I've seen 3d12s rolled and they got a 1, 2, and a 3, and then their d20 is a 1 or 2 or whatever, really low, so they totally flub it, which cracks me up. I don't know if the players like it, but what I like about it is that you don't like get overburdened with plus 15s everywhere and overpowered characters, and there's no limit, there's no cap limit. I don't have a 10th level cap or 50th level cap. Also, I have characters that have played now for 70 plus episodes in my Christians of Space campaign on YouTube, And new players can join in immediately at level 0. I mean, I don't use levels. I just use the glory points. So it's awesome. It really solves the problem. And your character can keep upgrading their stuff if they want. It gets more and more expensive with diminishing return, but you can still keep doing it because of this die rank that turns into a dice pool. So that's how I use that. And that's the toughest sale I have, because it makes people go, huh? You know, because I've done quite a few demos and new players that come in. It's tough for people to and digest it initially, and it takes a little while. It sucks, but it solves, you know, as a 47-year veteran GM, it solves everything that I have a problem with D&D, Shadow Dark, OSR, all the OSRs. They just we cap it at 10th land, throw it away, throw the character away, and start. You know, pagans do that, of course. Life is cheap for pagans, but for Christians, I want you to have a character who could lay down their life, but also one who you can keep growing with and playing with for quite a while. I mean, you know, as long as you want, I guess, as long as you can wield all these skills and stuff and upgrades and all that, and have fun with it. So that's that. Let me show you. You know, I just trying to get this. Let me get this fit on here. So these are gear. This is, you know, some characters. You make up names. I'm trying to add in a bunch of medieval dark history stuff and info, but very basic. I don't want to go too deep in history. I'm just too tired for that. But it's not even necessary. What's necessary is a simple local colloquial adventuring. You know. So I don't want to be like, and this is Lac du Lagano, which is an Italian area in Italy that I chose, but you can go wherever you want. You can put the setting anywhere you want and start with the village and move out from there. And it could be the Germanic forest. You know, it's forgotten history, so much forgotten history throughout Europe, that you can create your own little legends and myths and harrowing kind of, Vaesen Cthulhu style, just to use common names that we might know, Vaesen and Cthulhu style adventures. But again, you're going in to evangelize the villagers and plant a church. And that gameplay is a lot of role playing. You're going to do some evangelism rolls. It's kind of like, you know, charming or persuasion. That's really all it is, persuasion rolls. And the GM kind of sets up how hard it is to persuade them. You know, he secretly determines that, and then role plays the pagans and I keep it pretty simple. And if you can persuade them, then they will be accepting of, like, okay, we'll let you hang out and set up a church. We're not sure about this, but we'll, you know, that's just the role-playing storyline, and you keep building it from there. If you obviously fail the persuasion, then it can get violent. It can get nasty, and they can kick you out, and you got to decide whether you're going to fight them or let them keep doing their human sacrifices or whatever they're doing evilly, you know, as their paganism. Because pagans are doing evil things, period. And yeah, we got to go in and change their minds. Forcefully, spiritually, you know, your goal is to be spiritually doing it, not forcefully, but they're forceful, so you have to respond with force, and that's just the way it is. And you know, and there's also a rule in here called the denouement rule, which is if you can beat somebody and they give up, you know, as a GM, you want to. The player's always like, do you really denouement roll that? It's like a morale roll, basically, and so I roll that at some point, and you know, my bad guys have to give up. And they can now convert them, or at least subdue them, so they can plant a church and start civilizing that village, and then move on to the next village or move on to the next area. And you can, you know, be creative about how you do the adventures, and you don't always have to have evangelism either. You can have a lot of just dungeon crawling and ancient Roman stuff, and you know, and in my sci-fi and post-apocalyptic, they do a ton of that, you know, ruins and stuff like that. Searching for stuff and upgrading stuff. So here's a bunch of creatures I just did, you know, from the basic creatures to humans to giants, you know, the horned ones, which are, you know, cosplay dudes with horns, and demonic possessed, and drugs is a big part of paganism. And in the past, I know it was. Love potion is the number one drug or magical potion that witches made. And think about it. That was ecstasy or rape drug or something of that nature, because they wanted to drug the woman and basically rape her. And that was the horrible most common thing. So if you could rape her, then you could own her because she was guilt ridden into now being imprisoned by this freaking a-hole, devious person. But that was the number one drug sold by witches. So right there, should we allow paganism as a Christian? As a human with dignity? With the number one drug witches made was the love potion. And the love potion made people weaker and more susceptible. They were even outlawed by pagans. Didn't even trust witches, So here's a lot of prehistoric creatures. And by the way, you don't have to use that rape drug in the game, but you could use other drugs like charm drugs, or they use drugs. And what I use a lot is steroidy, like feral steroid, rabid, making their minions fight to the death drugs. That, which is bad, right? That's bad too. And they will fight for me, and they're all. Aah! So you can do all kinds of drugs like that in the game, which like could cancel the denouement, fight to the death, which is basically a spell, right? That's the worst spell of all, getting people to fight for you who don't really want to fight for you, but they go crazy, or become susceptible to demonic possession, which is what this is here. These are people tied up in these antler beasts, so they look like demonic horned ones, and they're just drug infested. But yeah, that's paganism for you. Here's my dragons. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to teach, especially kids, that this is dragons, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are dragons, and they're very dangerous. I mean, these guys would kill the characters. A super awesome paladin will one bite could get killed by this thing, and that's the truth, right? But you have ways of avoiding that deadly bite. You can sacrifice your helmet and shield or shield to avoid it, so that the dragon crushes your shield now and you don't have it. And as you keep fighting it, you crushes your helmet now, because that bite could kill you. If they roll a serious roll, they could kill you automatically. Thusly, you do have some ways of avoiding the damage. And also, so if he fights you a third time, you can reduce your armor save, so that goes lower and you're desperately fighting it. So that's a very simple and fun way that warriors can survive these lethal attacks. If you're a nun, you're dead. If you're a cleric and you don't have any of this, you're dead. So I would suggest getting in the back and letting the knight be up front. But they have ways there are lethal attacks that are one-shot kills, but you can sacrifice different armors to avoid, to give yourself another chance while you're trying to get your lethal attack in. So that's really cool. I love that mechanic. So more creatures, then more humans that are cosplay, trolls, forest nymphs and trolls. See, these are cosplay. I took these off a European. I found some European thing where they're all dressed up in these cosplays and said, oh yeah, I'm going to draw those out. And then I have witches, and they're sort of basic powers, and they use preparation points, like magic points to do spells. And in essence, all of their spells either do damage or do a penalty die, or make you flee. They're very sort of drug induced powders, or just harrowing pageantry. Pagans were all into that pageantry, fake chicanery, sleight of hand type of stuff, and I don't mind adding in a bit of magic, even like Greek fire, fireball type of stuff, smoke. That's fine. And if you also drugs that induce hallucinations, so and obviously all of that stuff, along with moving into the realm of spiritual and demonic, is fine with me. So you can come up with spells. I make it very loosey-goosey the way you do spells and stuff. But basically, whenever they put prep points into something, the magic points into it, that's what the number that then the characters have to resist to, or have these penalties. And generally past 5 die ranks of penalties, you're incapacitated or dead, or really, you need help, kind of a thing. So here's werewolves, lycans. They're cosplay, but think about it. They're the opening scene of the Northman movie, where they're all around the fire, or the Maui, going crazy. That's kind of like what these are. So, and that's dangerous and deadly, and they're crazy and they're cannibalistic or whatever. So you got scary humanoid beasts in the Dark Ages game. Now in the Apocalypse and in the Christians in Space one, you can do orcs or space orcs or whatever you want because of genetic modifications. And that makes sense, by the way. Star Wars and Star Trek don't make sense. The aliens they have do not make sense. They're all carbon-based. They're all bipedal humanoids. Really, did they all evolve randomly on different planets? You know, total hogwash. I'm a creation science guy. It makes sense that genetic modified humanoids, carbon-based from Earth, are corrupted. And all those people, all those aliens don't know that. They don't know about Earth. Earth is hidden to them. The atheist empire had hidden Earth. Like they think it's a dead star system. It's erased from the records. So thusly, Earth is the hidden bastion of Christians in 2500 AD. And now the Christians are going out into space and trying to evangelize. So that's the setting of that. And if you want to steal that setting from me, fine, go ahead. I don't care, because for pagans, they can't do anything with it, which is hilarious. I don't mind anyone steals my ideas, because if you want to steal it and make it a pagan game, good luck. You got 10,000 other pagan games out there. Have fun. But if you want to make it a Christian game like mine and you steal my idea, welcome, hello. You know, I'm fine with that. I don't care anymore. All I care about is, you know, the kingdom of God and getting us all Christians to play a Christian RPG where we have fun and get into the psyche of missionary work and church work and enjoying it. My opiate addiction is church, and that's what yours should be. You should be. The bride of Jesus is not us. The bride of Jesus is the church. You got to be part of a church. If you're not part of a church, helping the church, F you. I'm being hyperbolic, but you know, what the hell? What the hell are you doing? Literally, you're doing hell's work. Get into a church, do smash burgers, get a ukulele. This one, I'm doing a ukulele at church, which I don't even know how to play an instrument, but I am learning it for the fun of it. And being at church, I am doing smash burgers. First time I ever did them correctly. I did it at church, and it was amazing. It was a spiritual experience for us 7 guys that were there. Very spiritual, tell you. Breaking bread. We were smashing bread, smashing burgers, and it was awesome. And I'm gonna do it again. I'm just getting back into the new year now. And you know, you got to be excited about church, man. Those giants. You got giants. I got undead, spiritual, mysterious tentacle beast. I got crazy prehistoric, you know, like these troglodytes are like cave gorillas. I got Etten, yeah, a giant Siamese twin kind of guy. Why not? And I did the whole, you know, like Peter Jackson's King Kong, where they had all the crazy prehistoric creatures. I'm like, yeah, I gotta really, you know, ante up the beasts. And then demons, actual demon dudes here, right? And I'm using these sort of modular dungeons in my VTT. If that's gonna come on, update high reser, well, whatever. But I'm using these. I don't know, it's high res. It's not updating. But anyway, but these guys, I use modular. But you know, here's one, a modular kind of, you know, setup of a dungeon. But you can use whatever you want. I mean, I don't care. You know, whatever. I'll just use it. I thought it'd be easier for Christians and stuff, but no, it's too hard. But whatever. Anyway, and then at the back of the book, I've got a bunch of encounter options here, characters, examples you can use or follow, and then just references at the back, kind of like GM screen sort of stuff. The game is easy. It just looks hard because of the die rank thing. And anyone out there that has questions or wants me to walk it through with you, I'm more than happy to. I do get a lot of people downloading my game for free, which is fine. This is available for free on my website, and very few though that I know of that are playing it. And so that, yeah, and it bums me out because I want you to learn how to play it. Oh, and learn and use it. I want you to use it because of what it's been doing for me. Getting me back into church and getting me excited about church. And this is my Apostles one. I guess I won't go through it, but I just kind of showing you some of the fun work. Like the last half of this one is the setting, like examples of settings, because you do a hex crawl. It's really fun. I really love this. So I'm gonna show you. Let me show you this. Man, I'm all over the place. Okay, this is a total dungeon crawl that my Dark Ages ones did. Look at that. They had a big demon fight here at the end, and the people all came and joined with them in church, and they killed these crypt guards here. Here's a character, one of the characters, and it was a kind of a mini campaign where they just, here's a character sheet, and he's got a holy battle axe, and there's his numbers there, the die ranks there, and look at it, 26. That's a lot vitality. 26. Here's his basic gear, and here's his skills, and he's got a couple blessings here and skills here. The 5 die ranks is a D12 there. Here's the die rank thing. But yeah, so there's that. But I do want to open up. Let me just open up the. Hold on a second. Yeah. So this is, I got the Dark Ages setting. I'm working on a Gothic setting, which is a 14th century, 15th century in Paris. And I'm using a lot of AI for that because I don't French, I don't know, whatever. But I play tested it and I took a break, but I have almost like 50, 60 pages of it, sort of worked out. I got to go through and really work it out more and build it up. And it's all on Paris, all based on Paris. I'm not doing it. Apocalypse and Christian Space. I was going to show you Apocalypse. Yeah, this thing. The Apostles of the Epoch, and small a apostles, not, I just recently learned that apostles really refers to the ones that knew Jesus personally, so we shouldn't be calling ourselves apostles. Anyway, this is the hex map crawl, and each map represents a battle map, or another encounter map or whatever. And this is where the characters are right now. And I was hoping to play with them today, but they're one of them was out. So, but this is their home base, the Christians, and this is in 2180. They were in a prison camp, and the Christians survived the nuclear war, whatever, and they are for over 100 years. And now that the radiation's gone down, they can go out and start exploring the wastelands of Earth and start rebuilding. And they're going out and finding survivors. They're all crazy pagans, and because that's our default. And then they got to convert them, and they got to deal with the issues of. All right, let me show you the map of this, and they're exploring now, and this is in the game rules where you can roll, as a GM, I roll out randomly the different settings and just have fun with I really enjoy that part of the GM prep. Let me go to the page of that real quick. I'll show you. I really enjoy this. So this hex map prep, you roll a d6, you choose a different type of terrain, and then within it you can roll again, and then you get some other options to roll along here and for the creatures, and it's just fun. I get to then work in my mind what that area is. And let me zoom in on this area where they're at right now. They've planted a church, and let me show you that map real quick. And this is, they had some adventures here, and they're going back and forth between this place and others. West Marches, I call it the West Marches, and here, and where's the church? It's called, I'm one Southeast Ruins. Here it is. It's like a small town ruins, and this is where they live. And here they're living in here. Oh, look, they fought all these scary bugs, and they're dead, and they're food now. They're all inside this hole that they are rotting in and intoxicated, but the people love it. But they've converted them, or they're not full Christian, but they're going to church. And there's 2 NPC ministers here that are running the church. Oh, and this is guy's in prison because he's part of the empire that they discovered. So this is underground, and this is the characters, and this is their transport, and they got a boat, and because there's a bunch of toxic marsh swamps they're going exploring, and they're exploring the ancient ruins, and there's mutant zombie crazy stuff, and it is a blast. And this is this here right here is the transport sheet of this transport. And this has all the supplies, so they know what they have, and they can write stuff in there, and they're collecting stuff, and they can upgrade stuff, and they're using die ranks and die rank results. Die rank result. What is die rank result? Die rank result is using your role. Like the simplest explanation is a prayer. They get together and they want to pray, so they add a bunch of die ranks. Right? They got singing. They're in a church, corporate. I keep adding die ranks. They use inspired die, and they can even use blessing. Let's say they add let me use a little tool here. Actually, let me go ahead and use the regular. No, I'll use the tool because I'm crazy. Let's say so whoever's praying's got a spirit of 4, and no, I gotta close this. Sorry. Let me use my other tool, and by these tools are available, just email me and I'll send them to you. These are just scripts. So let's just say they add up to. They can do this when they really focus. It's really great because Everybody joins in adding die ranks, and you can see I put in 17 there. So everyone joins in doing die ranks for a dice pool when it's like a, you know, to get die rank results, because what they're trying to do is get a really high number, and then I give them a die rank results, and I'll explain it to you, or I'll show it to you. So they're getting together to pray. They're going to go out to a mission. They want to pray. They're in. Let's say they get the ministers here. They get in a church here, whatever, and they've added up together 17 die ranks. So I'm going to send that to chat right here, just for the characters, and they have their own tool here. But that's your role. All right. So the pastor praying, or the sister praying, whoever, they got a +4 spirit. They have they have prayer skill. They have some psalm singing, whatever they're doing, and this is the roll, D12. This is the dice pool roll, D12, 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 and a D6. So it's 17 die ranks, right? We divide by 5 is 3, remainder 2. So 3 D12s and a remainder 2 is a D6. You can see right here. All right, no holy or power dice. That's usually, that's extra bonuses, but it's a separate die. It's a unique one. Anyway, so let's roll it. She's rolling. She's gonna pray. And then of course I have them pray. Actually, pray. And then based on the prayer, if I feel like it's really accurate, I'll give them a 1 or 2, 3 die rank bonus as well. And then let's just say that's the 17. So, so I set the difficulty. The difficulty, since they're in a comfortable place, is 12. 12 is the default difficulty. I could say 14 or 16. They're out in a cave somewhere. It's really cold. It's clammy. I could do that too. But I say 12 is the default. They're in this safe place or whatever. 12 is the default. They get a 12. So she has to beat a 12. Okay, so 12. She rolls. Boom. Oh, see, she choked. Look at that. Look at that. I'm pointing. 3, 1, 3, 4. What's the 4? Yeah. So you got to pick the highest, which is the 4, and she rolled a 4, or he or whoever rolled it. Right? Is that nuts? 17 die ranks. Think about this in a regular game. You have a character who is whatever playing, and they roll +17. So the only way they could technically fail is if they roll a 1, and then they might complain about, I have 17. Why don't I get, But in mine, look at this roll. This is a perfect example. I'm so glad it happened, because usually it rolls super high. But this is a perfect example of, even though they did all this, it just turned out wrong. She said the prayer, but it just miffed. You know what I mean? Something happened. Whatever. Somebody farted. I don't know. Whatever silly thing we can come up with. The prayer got thrown off. So she rolled a 12. All right. So I said the default is 12, right? So she still did the prayer. She still succeeded at 12. And the minimum, if you succeed, the minimum bonus is a one die rank. So they'd get 1 die rank. What does that mean? That's the die rank result. She did succeed at 12, but the minimum to succeed, she gets 1 die rank. What does 1 die rank do? She can give that 1 die rank, which is like a +1 die rank bonus, to, it's like an inspiration point in D&D. She has an inspired die, I call it inspired die. So she can give that to whoever, and they save it and then use it later as a bonus to their roll. So that's how that works. But let me re-roll it and show you a higher number result. But this is awesome, because this is what I love. I love that the die ranks, they diffuse as you get higher and higher and higher. You're not a demigod. You're not, and I don't have to, as a GM, I don't have to keep adding tougher and tougher creatures. I can just use the same, I don't have to add demons. In Christians of Space, we're on 70 plus episodes, and I'm using the same basic, stormtroopers or whatever. I don't have to keep adding higher and higher and, more and more, because they're not like super powerful, right? So let me, so it's great for me as a DM. It solves that issue. In D&D, when they get to 7th, 10th level, you have to do all these crazy, stupid, super trolls and super demons and mega giants and stuff. And this is kind of gets absurd after a while. All right, let me re-roll it just for the fun to show you like a higher roll. D12, 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 and a D6, and roll. Okay, 13, 8. Ooh, still kind of a not, but whatever. 25. All right, 25 roll. It could have been way higher, but 25. So 25, and the success was a 12, right? So I got another little tool here I shouldn't be using. Oops, not this one, because I want to just show you how you. So basically, a die rank result. What is a die rank result? So I told her the 12 is the difficulty. She rolls a 25 minus that. So I subtract that. So it's a 13. The highest number from the lowest. 13 So 13 is the direct result. Half of 13 is 6, right? 6, 13, 12, 6. Half of 13 is a 6, round down. 6 die ranks. That's the die rank result. She gets 6 die ranks to disperse amongst them as inspired die. So when they go out on the mission, each of them will have 2 die ranks, to add, they can spend 1 or 2 on their rolls. So that's how die rank result works. That same die rank results I use for all kinds of things. I can use it for repairing. So if she wants to repair her armor and she rolls this, and I gave her the 12 difficulty, I might make it higher because something's damaged, whatever. And she adds her workshop, her tools, her inspired die, whatever she adds to that roll, and she gets the 6 die ranks here, like this. So 6 die ranks is a D12 and a D4, right? A D12 and a D4. So I say, okay, roll those, and you can add them together because usually you pick the highest. But for repairs, I say roll them together, and she rolls. Let's just say here. What does she roll? She rolls a D12 and a D4 because that was her 6 die ranks. Sorry, yeah, that's right. D12 and D4. That's 6 die ranks. So she rolls a 8. So she can now repair her armor with 8 points. Or armor. I'm sorry. Armor does not have points. It is reduced by die rank. Sorry. So she gets a D12 and a D4. So she can repair it that many times. So she's repaired it probably fully at that point. Fully repaired it, because armor would be if it's got a D10, and let's say it's down to D4, so that's 3. It's down 3 die ranks. So she did 6, so she gets this, fully repairs it, and then she goes, well, I have 3 die ranks left over. What can I do anything with that? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Do you want to repair anything else? I will give you that as a bonus for the next repair because you're right there. I wouldn't have her use the die ranks as inspired die because that's all about repairing, or anything too out there. I would just use it for if you want to do something immediately after that. So you can interpret the die rank results like that, and I do that, and it's really a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I enjoy using die ranks and die rank results because I don't have to go look at a table or anything. I can just use those die ranks and the die rank results to interpret descriptively what they're doing and what results they get. And so it's a little hard to teach, but once you get it, I don't have to. I only look at it's funny. The only time I look at the book is for one thing, fumble table, which is only 1 through 6, and I keep forgetting it. I think I'm getting it down after 2 years, but I kind of forget it. So that's the only thing I ever look at when I'm in the game, generally speaking. Now, for gear and stuff, I might have to look at the gear list for something. But other than that, I don't look at any of the rules or anything. It's all pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's my another ranting thing about this. I feel like I had some other stuff up. No, that's fine. Nothing else that I can think of. So that's my game. It's on. If you'd like to buy the hard, you can get this for free on my website, the PDF. I always find the books are more fun, so I put them on Amazon. So this is the PDF for this, for the Dark Ages, the APOC, and the Christians in Space. And then I also have a Christians in Space 2-star system area. 2 or more. They're pretty big though. Quite a bit of stuff in here. Let me show you real quick. I try to make it very simple. Like every page is the whole planet and what it does and what you can do there. And I try to put in stats of the creatures in there too. So if you were to open it up to this section, you would just need these 2 pages to reference for that whole planet and what you could do there if you create up your own little environment for them to go explore there. And generally each planet is its own little mini campaign anyway. And this is all my artwork. I did use Space Engine Pro to get the planet stuff and stuff. But reptilians there. These are the Dreadbots, like Terminators basically. We got some mutant stuff and all kinds of fun. And these are all like settings and stuff that you can use. And then I also have a setting for the Dark Ages, which is the Legacy of Legato, and it's got all the stuff, ideas for you to try and use for it's got a swamp, it's got barrel, it's got whites, kind of little demonic sort of undead things. And I read hagiographies from the Dark Ages, and they got some stuff there. They got dragons in there. They got ghosts. These actual historical accounts, animated objects. So demonic possession stuff. So I'm fine with. I mean, the Bible has it, so I'm fine with pushing that envelope so that you can make a fun, adventurous game for your players, and they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And again, clear out the evil and evangelize the village and players, or village and people, NPCs, and plan a church and start up again. And then role play, preaching, see if you can do that. But make them preach, make them say, because we need to rewire our brain back to the church culture. And it's fun. I'm telling you, I am having so much fun with this. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do D&D. I don't want to do Alien RPG, although I'm kind of intrigued by it. Actually, Alien RPG, which I bought the whole first edition, and now they got a second edition. I'm like, seriously? Anyway, I'm not going to buy the Evolved edition because I'm like, I'm not even going to play it. But it is Earth-based, so you could technically do a Christian campaign in there. It is Earth. Any other RPG that is Earth-based, I would say have at it. Like make a Christian. Why not? Oh, I'm going to offend and might lose players. Yeah. So, fellowship, get Christians in on it. My dream, hopefully starting in a month or two, I'm going to start a game at my church. And it's kind of whatever. It's something I would really like, but we'll see. I would like to get a fellowship of gamers at my church. We play every week. We do freaking we just play awesome Christian RPG, and then we draw on other people, hopefully outside people, to come to the church and play. Hopefully we'll do it during the evening at some point. I try to persuade them to give me a key so I can do that, but then we go to conventions or whatever, or start or create, or we create a cottage industry of adventures and get a table and sell them at conventions or wherever. I don't care. I just want us to grow our Christian culture, church history, church adventure, Christian adventures. We can do every genre: zombies, Warhammer 40K, Star Wars, Star Trek, post-apocalyptic. The timeline I have in these books, I have a timeline to explain it all. Cyberpunk, anything you want, you can do with a Christian, biblical adherent thing, like I just explained for the last hour. So you can do it. We are not left owned. And fantasy, like I've said before, is created by us. We created fantasy. We created sci-fi, science fiction. We Christians, the Christian culture, created those, because pagans, for them, elves, spirits, evil spirits, or land spirits, forest spirits, those are real. Why would they create a fun, entertaining game out of what they fear and they give offerings to? The Grimm brothers went around getting these stories, but they got them and wrote the book. These guys were Christians. They grew up in like their father was a chaplain or whatever, but they wrote these books as stories, and they were not afraid of them. Those stories were all about warning and putting fear into kids or each other, or making them do offerings. They were used as a religious thing, whereas we Christians are like, what, really? Oh, that's funny. And we created fantasy. We created science fiction because we created science. We don't believe in spirits controlling the world, or God controls the world. We do believe in spirits, actually, but they don't control anything. Unless we're pagan. They control pagans, but they don't control us. We have the Holy Spirit, so they don't control us. But we created fantasy, so I'm a little perturbed at Christians in the church poo-pooing fantasy. We own that. So take it back. Pagans are taking everything from us, and they're using it as their own proselytizing tool. They're using D&D to proselytize our kids, and we are poo-pooing it. We need to get back in and take it back and turn. When I was a kid watching the Harryhausen do all those Sinbads and those stop motions, those are awesome, man. but we put our Christianity into it. We put in like goodness and compassion into those stories. But again, I don't, you know, I want to put in Christianity in it, but still adventure, you know, cool adventure. And so anyone want to do a Solomon Kane setting, let me know. I will help you, give you whatever I have, and let's do it. Let's create more. But you got to be part of a church, though. I want you to be part of a church, doing some games there, doing some of these, and then let's work on it. Anyway, all right, that's enough for me now. I got to get back to work. I got to do some stuff here. The game of life. Roll holy dice.